Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we'll be discussing about 25 important questions that were asked in UPSC Civil Services examination, State Public Service Commission examinations and also in SSC and other examinations. So today I'll be teaching you how to integrate polity and study. So based on these 25 questions, you will understand that from which topics they're asking what kind of questions. Okay. So let's begin. So before that, I would like to tell you that please comment your scores in the comment section, okay, so that I'll come to know how you are doing actually with your polity. And if you want to take an academy plus subscription, you can use this code plus bg7es for 10% off. And make sure those who are watching it for the first time do subscribe my channel, so that I would come to know how many of you are actually interested in my content. Okay, so let's begin the quiz today. This is the first question. He is saying that the authorization for the withdrawal of funds from the Consolidated Fund of India must come from. Okay. So, what is Consolidated Fund of India? According to Article 266, Consolidated Fund of India is where all the people pay their taxes. You know, people pay their taxes and receipts. So, all these things it go to Consolidated Fund of India. There is one more account called Public Account Fund. Okay, so this public account, what are the remaining things like judicial deposits, etc., these goes to public account. Okay, then 267 is about Contingency Fund of India. So Contingency Fund of India, around 500 crores for corpus will be there, and this will be present with president, and the president, the financial secretary will handle on behalf of the president. Okay, so for Consolidation Fund of India, you need parliament approval. Okay, and this, they will pass a special bill called appropriation bill. Okay, so this is completely regarding the all the three funds, and what he's asking, authorization for the withdrawal of funds of Consolidated Fund of India. So I told you Consolidated Fund of India require parliamentary approval, so answer is B. Okay, so this is how you integrate. So we'll go to the next question. Okay, all the revenues received by the union government by way of taxes and other receipts for the conduct of the government business are credited to, I just explained that it will be credited to Consolidated Fund of India. Next question. Who is rightly called as the father of local self-government in India? See, this is a simple plain question of say one blank, but see how much I'll explain to you. Father of local self-government, the answer is Lord Ripon. Before that, what is local self-government? Sorry, came to the next question. Okay, so what is local self-government? Local self-government is actually Panchayati Raj system. Okay, in Panchayati Raj system, you have to remember that it is 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, which came in 1992. From this, you also know that it is in a DPSP, Directive Principle of State Policy, under Article 40. Okay, Article 40 is also a Gandhian principle, and it says about organization of village panchayat. So the first Panchayati Raj system was established in Rajasthan, Nagaur district. Okay, and you should also know that Balwant Rai Mehta committee was responsible, and also Ashok Mehta also brought some recommendations. Then Gadgil, then Thangton, GVK Rao. Okay, why I'm teaching all this? Because all these are responsible for reforms in Panchayati Raj system, and you should also remember the committee names and recommendation. Okay, so this is about Panchayati Raj, and I told you that it is Lord Ripon. Next question. Which is not an all India services? So all India services are only three. That is Indian Administrative Service, Indian Police Service, Indian Administrative Service, Indian Police Service, and Indian Forest Service. Okay. So based on that, Indian Administrative Service is there, Police Service is there, and Forest Service is there, and Foreign Service is not an all India services. So you have to remember that Article 312 gives the power to Rajya Sabha to create an all India services. Okay, all India services. Okay, next question. India attained dominion status on. So what is dominion status? If you see Canada or Australia, okay, if you see Canada or Australia, you can see that their flag consists of Britain's flag. Dominion actually means the highest sovereignty is the Queen of England. Okay, so you may say that no, we are not dominion, we are independent. But the thing is that when on 15th August 1947 they passed the India Independence Act, till 26 January 1950, till our constitution was framed, we were not sovereign. Okay, so when on 26 January 1950 we became sovereign. Sovereign means highest decision making power. Okay, so from 15th August 1947 to 26 Jan 1950 we were dominion status. And very important thing is that who gave dominion status, who published in his report about dominion status? It is Motilal Nehru, or famously known as Nehru report. Motilal Nehru is father of Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, next question. The distribution of power between the center and the states in Indian constitution is based on the scheme provided in. Okay, I am teaching you in a bit fast way, but if you want you can just pause the question and wait for my explanation later. Okay, the distribution of powers between center and the state in Indian constitution is actually based on Government of India Act 1935. This is from the first chapter of Lakshmikant. Historical background. Okay, historical background. Okay, so Minto Morley reforms which came in 1909, it is about communal award. Okay, they started giving reservation to religion, representation of religion in constituencies. Okay, Montague-Chelmsford thing, the important thing is that Montague-Chelmsford was talking about diarchy and also bicameralism. So Government of India Act was actually distribution of powers between the center and the state. Next question. In the Parliament of India, the purpose of an adjournment motion. So adjournment itself means that delaying the process. So when they say that the house is adjourned, that means the house is now taking a break till further notice. Okay. So this is actually to allow the discussion on definite matter of urgent public importance. This is which one of the following statement is correct? Okay, so here he is talking about the governor. So if you see that the governor is actually appointed by president and he can be removed by president only. Okay, and he is not accountable to any legislature or anything. Governor right now is actually a puppet of the central government, you can say. So here you can see that this is the C option. No procedure has been laid down in the Constitution of India for the removal of governor from his or her post. This is the right answer. Next question. What will follow if a money bill is substantially amended by Rajya Sabha? You have to know that in bills there are ordinary bills, then money bills, then constitutional amendment bills. Okay. These money bills, all financial bills are not money bills, but all money bills are financial bills. Okay, this you need to know. And Article 112 talks about annual financial statement. Okay, that is also called as budget. Article 112, annual financial statement. So in this, in money bill, the Lok Sabha has the highest authority. Okay, Rajya Sabha, if it takes recommendation, it doesn't make recommendation, it is not considered. Only Lok Sabha has the highest power because money is actually dealing with people. Okay, sorry, money is actually dealt with the people, so it is about Lok Sabha. So you can see the Lok Sabha may still proceed with the bill accepting or not accepting the recommendations of Rajya Sabha. This is the right answer. Attorney General of India. So who is Attorney General of India? Attorney General, Article 76 talks about Attorney General. Attorney General is a lawyer of Government of India. Okay, he fights the cases in High Court, Supreme Court, and other courts. Okay, regarding the government. So on based on this Attorney General, they may ask question that he is a whole time or a part time counselor. Okay, so he is only a part timer. He can do private practice, provided he should not represent against government. Okay, so he can take parts in proceedings of Lok Sabha. Yes, he can be a member of the he can be a member of committee of the Lok Sabha. Yes, can speak in the Lok Sabha. Yes, vote in the Lok Sabha. No, why? Because he is not a member. So this is 1, 2, 3, and fourth option. Sorry, eliminate fourth option. This is the right answer. 1, 2, and 3. Next question. The Parliament can make any law for a whole or any part of India for implementing international treaties without any consent of the state. And you just note this point that DPSP Article 51 talks about international peace and cooperation. Sorry, it's international peace and cooperation. Next question. The Sarkaria Commission was concerned with, so the Sarkaria Commission was concerned with the center and state relations. Next, which of the article deals with the grants in aid by the union government to the states? The grants in aid, by aid means help. So the grant in aids by the union government to the states, article is 275. Now what you have to do is, what is this article and what is this article and what is this article? Okay, all these three write in the comment section. Okay, let's go. Which of the following article deals with the election of vice president? For this, I'll give you one more fact that vice president is, some scholars call the vice president as his superfluous highness. Okay, and he is ex officio member of Rajya Sabha. Okay, ex officio member means that if he becomes vice president, that person automatically becomes the member of ex officio. Sorry, it's not member, it is chairman. The vice president is actually ex officio. Ex officio means if he becomes vice president, he automatically becomes the chairman of Rajya Sabha. This is Article 66. Next question. According to the Constitution of India, which of the following fundamental for the governance of the country? The fundamental for the governance of the country, whenever governance is coming, that means the state is making laws for people, and such laws should abide by directive principles of state policy. Okay, but make sure that DPSP is non-enforceable. That means you cannot go to court saying that my directive principles of state policy is not followed. Okay, so that is the answer. This is enforceable, which means that you can go to the court if there is a breach of fundamental right. Consider the following statement regarding no confidence motion in India. Okay, in 2020 prelims also they have asked something related to this statement. See, is mention of the of such a thing in constitution or not? Obviously that there is no mention of no confidence motion, because Article 75 states that the ministers are collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. Okay, so they did not say anything that about no confidence motion in the constitution. A motion of no confidence can be introduced in Lok Sabha only, right? Because only in Lok Sabha the government is actually, they can make or break the government in Lok Sabha. You can see Atal Bihari Vajpayee government was made to fall by no confidence motion. Okay, so answer is both of them. So regarding this mentioning of some terms in constitution, judicial review, review, and there is one more thing, basic structure. Okay, these things are not in constitution. Make sure you remember that. Article 13, the Supreme Court makes an interpretation from Article 13 that Supreme Court has a right to judicial review, and basic structure doctrine is done by 1973 famous case called Keshavananda Bharati. Okay, so these things are Supreme Court interpretation and not there in constitution. This only the question they asked in 2020 prelims. Next, which one of the following schedules of the Constitution of India contains provision regarding to anti-defection? Anti-defection, defection means to leave from one party, people go to other party, right? So this hobnobbing is called as anti-defection, and the answer is 10th schedule. Okay, and after that you should also see from 1 to 12 schedules. You should remember them by heart. Sorry, one second. You should remember them by heart, about from 1 to 12 schedules. So second schedule, it deals with the salaries and emoluments for the ministers. The fifth schedule, it talks about the schedule areas. Okay, and the eighth schedule talks about, I'm so sorry, it's like a small problem here. Okay, the eighth schedule talks about languages. So if you want, you can just comment that I'll make a short video from 1 to 12 schedules and you can learn it by heart. Okay, that's not a big deal. Next question. The mind of the makers of the Constitution of India is reflected in which of the following? The mind and makers of the Constitution of India is actually reflected in preamble, but there are certain sources which say something else. So this one you just check it out once and we will just discuss about it later. Okay. 19. The main advantage of the parliamentary form of government is, so parliamentary form of the government and the other one is presidential form of government. So presidential is there in USA, parliamentary form is there in India. And I would like to tell you that the answer is the executive remains responsible to legislature. I told you Council of Ministers collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. In the Constitution of India, promotion of international peace and security, I think I have already told you, it is in Article 51 of Directive Principles of State Policy. Okay, next question. Judicial review in the Indian Constitution is based on, actually in India, the judicial review is based on procedure established by law. Remember. In India, the residuary powers are vested with, so what is residuary powers? First of all, there is union list, then there is state list, there is state list, and there is concurrent list. Okay, so union list, in which laws are made by central government, state list, laws are made by state government, and concurrent list, both make the law. So all powers minus these three is equal to residuary powers, and these residuary powers are vested again with the union government. Next question. The first speaker of Lok Sabha. So the first speaker of Lok Sabha is Ganesh Vasdev Maulankar. Remember. Which of the following objectives is not embodied in the preamble of the Constitution? You have to remember the preamble by heart. Okay. So the answer is economic liberty, and few more other things I'll tell about preamble. It is amended in 1976, 42nd Amendment Act. Okay, they introduced sovereign, secular, integrity. Okay, so just check out these terminology again. Sovereign, actually it is sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republic. You have to remember this. And liberty of thought, speech, and expression. Okay, and 42nd Amendment Act 1976. It is also called as N.A. Pakiwala, a person. He said that it is identity card of the Constitution. This you have to remember. Okay. Next question. The ninth schedule was introduced in India during the prime ministership of Jawaharlal Nehru, introduced in 1951. It was actually provided like a blanket immunity. That means they will make any law, and those laws will be actually not inquired in courts. So this is actually big problem, and you have to tell me from which year this blanket immunity was removed. Okay, so this comes to the end of our class, and thank you all guys to stay with me, and you have seen this particular video. Please like, share and subscribe, and definitely don't forget to subscribe. That will boost me to make more such videos. And put your scores in the comment section, also doubts in the comment section. Also, if there is any errors, I'll rectify in the comment section and I'll tell. Okay, thank you all, thank you very much, all the best.